Hafa Guam, I'm Tim Anderson, your Joint Region Marianas Safety Program Director. As you may know, Guam offers a wide variety of outdoor activities, to include hiking. But did you know we average about 2 hiking-related rescues a month? And that's mostly due to either injured or lost hikers. Because of that, Joint Region Marianas presents to you this video, which is full of information that will help you plan, execute, and get home safely from your hike without the need of emergency assistance. Let's start with the planning and preparation for your hike.
While Guam is only about 210 square miles, it has many trails to historical World War II sites, ancient Chamorro villages, waterfalls, and of course areas with breathtaking views. However, hikes on Guam are no joke. You must be physically prepared for long, muddy trails in thick jungle, up and down hills, through rivers, and in hot, humid, and sometimes rainy weather. Once you feel ready for all that fun, the next step is to decide where you want to hike. Of course, you can Google Guam hikes, but social media has a few profiles dedicated solely to local hikes, and there are a couple published books you can find to guide you. Don't forget to also check your installation's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Office that not only give information, but also take you on guided hikes on the weekend. Feel free to visit their website, give them a call, or stop by their office. Once you've picked your hike, you'll need to have the right clothing, gear, supplies, and most especially a hiking buddy who knows the way in and the way out. Initially, the gear list may seem extensive, but it's actually not that much to carry. And don't forget, even though Guam is small, it's very easy to get lost, and having enough supplies and the right gear will make all the difference. Let's start with shoes. A pair of hiking sandals, hiking shoes, or hiking boots is fine. It really just depends on the terrain. For example, if you're going to be hiking through rivers, sandals may be best. But if you're hiking through jungle, shoes or boots may be more appropriate. Second, the recommended clothing is long pants and a long sleeve shirt made of moisture wicking material. This will not only protect you from the sun's harmful rays and help keep you cool, but also protect you from the infamous swordgrass. We'll discuss that later though. Moving on, you should also have a compass and know how to use it, sunblock, which should be applied often, sunglasses, a hat, bandana, whistle, knife, flashlight, lighter, gloves, insect repellent, first aid kit, at least 4 liters of water or more, healthy foods such as trail mix, jerky, and fruit, a plastic storage bag for items you don't want getting wet, trash bag, fully charged cell phone, and finally, a good backpack to carry it all. Make sure you communicate the start and stop time of your hike with a responsible person who will be able to call a search party should communication cease during your hike. Now that you have all that, let's discuss hazards you may come across on your hike. Last thing you want to do on a hike is sneak up on baby animals. Mama animals can get a little bit defensive and quickly turn offensive. You may encounter animals such as dogs and wild pigs. Make a little noise on your hike, and that'll usually be enough to make them scurry away. Some other critters you might not want to sneak up on are monitor lizards, brown tree snakes, wasps, spiders, but there are also centipedes. If you are bitten or stung by an animal or insect, seeking medical attention is advisable if after effects are persistent. There's also some vegetation you should be cautious with. Take swordgrass for example. Some trails take you near or through them. A cut from swordgrass is not only irritating, it can also introduce a bacterial disease called leptospirosis, or lepto for short. Lepto is spread mainly by swimming or wading in fresh, unchlorinated water contaminated with animal urine, or by coming in contact with wet soil or plants contaminated with animal urine. Symptoms of lepto are high fever, headache, chills, muscle aches, vomiting, jaundice, red eyes, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and rash, which can start 2 days to 4 weeks after exposure. The milky sap from the milky mangrove tree, also known as blind your eye mangrove, is very poisonous. It will cause blisters on your skin and temporary blindness if you get some in your eyes. It's also a very bad idea to use any part of this tree for firewood. Another toxic plant is the night blooming jasmine. The flowers have a very sweet scent, but every part of this plant is considered toxic to humans, including their white berries. However, There's less threatening vegetation that just have thorns or can scrape your skin and cause an irritant such as wait a minute vines, lemon trees, and forking ferns. There is more vegetation that you should be aware of, but basically, don't run through the jungle without the proper clothing or eat anything you don't 100% know is edible and you'll be fine. Some other things you need to watch out for are terrains which pose slip, trip, and fall hazards. Grass, rocks, dirt, clay, and mud are very slippery, even at the slightest slant. Adding to slippery surfaces are exposed roots. If you don't watch your step, these roots can easily lead to a twisted ankle or worse. Rivers and waterfalls pose hazards as well. Rivers may be calm in your area, but the heavy rains a couple miles away give little warning to flash flood. Dry or calm rivers can turn into raging rivers in just a minute or two, so it's prudent to check the weather forecast and be cognizant of rain clouds in the distance. If the forecast calls for heavy rains or you see heavy rain upriver, it's highly advisable to stay clear of rivers and waterfalls. Speaking of waterfalls, they're great to sit under to get a natural massage and then jump into the pool below, but you never know what might be falling from upstream, and visibility in the water isn't that great, so you won't be able to see rocks beneath the surface of where you're jumping into. Check below before you go. Further on the subject of hidden objects beneath the surface, unexploded ordnance or UXOs are still found around the island. Just because you've been on a trail numerous times doesn't mean there aren't any there. Buried UXOs can be exposed through erosion and vegetation removal, but even exposed UXOs can be hard to recognize since ordnance comes in many shapes and sizes. They can look like a pointed pipe, soda can, baseball, cylindrical propane tank, even a muffler. They may be partially buried, look new or old, be complete or in parts, and found alone or in groups. All UXOs are considered dangerous regardless of their size or age. If you should happen upon a UXO, remember the 3 R's. Recognize, retreat, and report. In other words, if you find one, don't touch, move, or dig around it to get a better look. Back away and call 911. If you decide to touch a UXO, it may be the last thing you get to touch, which is a great segue to our next topic: what to do if you or your buddy gets injured. As mentioned earlier, slips, trips, and falls can happen at any part of your hike. If someone gets injured, the first thing you should do is stabilize them and control any bleeding. If they can't walk it off, you'll have to call for help. There are some spots in the jungle that do not have cell phone coverage, so you may have to find higher ground or backtrack on the trail until you get a signal. Once you're able to call for help, make sure you're able to relay as much specifics about the location as possible. The Coast Guard app mentioned earlier can help immensely since it gives specific coordinates of your location. Rescue will come by either land or air, so patience is a virtue. Another easy way to get injured on a hike is from the heat. Heat stress and heat exhaustion can quickly turn into heat stroke if the signs aren't recognized and the symptoms aren't treated. Before we get into that, let's discuss what causes heat-related illnesses. The main causes are dehydration, lack of airflow, sun exposure, and of course heat and humidity. Symptoms of heat-related stress include rash, cramps, dizziness, rapid breathing, rapid pulse, and profuse sweating. After heat stress comes heat stroke, and this could be deadly if not treated quickly and properly. Heat stroke is a condition where the body can no longer cool itself effectively. Signs of heat stroke include lack of sweat, confusion, hallucinations, seizures, and fainting. But you won't have to worry about any of that if you stay hydrated by drinking non-caffeinated, non-carbonated drinks, like water for example, and stay cool by taking breaks in the shade. Most of the time, trails are obvious and marked with surveyor tape, but there are times when the wind blows the tape off or is blocked by foliage. Just a couple of steps in the wrong direction can leave you completely disorientated. This is where the little extra food and water you packed helps, since your couple of hour hike just may have turned into an impromptu camping trip. Let's just say you tried everything you could think of to get unlost. Backtracking, followed a river downstream, blew your whistle to get other hikers' attention, and you still have no idea where you're at, and now it's dark. There are a few things you can still do. First is not to panic. Help can be summoned at your fingertips by calling 911 or by just using the Coast Guard app for emergency assistance. If you can't get a signal on your cell phone, your best option is to reach a high point in your area. Once assistance is on its way, remember the 3 stays. Stay dry, stay warm, and stay put. Depending on your location, it could take hours for the rescue team to arrive. Finally, if you're a smoker, you'll need to be extremely cautious with your cigarettes. Even if it's not the dry season, improperly discarded cigarettes can easily cause a wildfire and impose damaging effects to the environment and wildlife.
So now that you're aware of what gear you'll need and what hazards to look out for while on your hike, follow those simple measures, use sound risk management, you'll be just fine and have a great time.